You saw how to take the cap driver on earlier in the video. Now we're going to put the cap driver back on. This needs to go around the arm of the machine, so that's going to come through here, and that piece is right here. Just slide it on. Be very careful not to hit the needles. If you hit the needle, you could jar it and move it out of position. You're next going to take the arms of the cap driver and push them underneath the clips the same way you would have done that with a hoop. Just push it right on and make sure it clips in place, and your cap driver is on. You're going to press your frame movement buttons, and we're just going to move this back a little bit. This is the first hat and I don't want it to interfere with the plastic, so I'm just going to push it back a little bit. And I like to start with the end of the cap frame lined up with the end of the needle plate. Now we're going to put our cap on. The cap goes on sideways to begin, just the way you took your cap off. You're going to do the same thing. Slide it on and make sure that it clears the needles. Rotate the cap up until the notch of the cap frame matches up with the little piece that sticks out, and then you're going to put it on. Pushing from the bottom, just push it on until it clicks, then come back up to the top and push the top in. Once you hear it snap in, you're going to close these little clamps. If the bill gets in the way of the clamp, just pull the bill out of the way a little bit and then secure it down. You're now ready to load your design and start to sew it. Okay, we're about to load in our design for our hat. So again, we're going to go to F2, which is input. We'll take our design off of the USB port. So we're going to go down to USB and press set. Your designs will come up. And we're actually going to sew a butterfly on this hat. Butterfly happens to be the very first item that's there, so I don't need to move around. I'll just press set. The butterfly comes in, it's telling me it's putting it into memory location 6, and I need to copy it from my USB into the memory of the machine, so I'm going to press F2 for copy. The green bar goes across the bottom and it comes back to my display. I'm finished here. I'm going to press the escape button to get out of this menu. And there's the design that we're going to sew. I next go into my settings button. Because this is going on a hat, it does need to be rotated 180 degrees. I am going to stay with basic settings, and I'll show you that's the one that's highlighted. I'll just move off of it for a second. There's your basic settings. And we're just going to press set. In order to change this, we're going down to number 3, which is angle. Just press your down button. Once it's on angle, press set. The angle box comes up and you're just going to type in 180 for 180 degrees. And then press set. Your design will actually show 180 degrees in here. We're finished. We want to get out of this portion of the menu, so we hit escape. The next thing we want to do is assign our colors. We're going down to needle settings again and press set. This butterfly has 2 colors in it, so the inside of the butterfly sews first, so that's the color I'm going to assign first. Again, if you want to clear those, all you do is press the F3 and it will reset everything except number 1 to 0. The inside of the butterfly is going to sew first, so we'll make that a lighter pink, so that's color 15. So we press the +10 and 5 to give us 15. The next thing we're going to sew is a darker pink on the outside. That's color 11, so it's +10 and 1. Once I have those colors inserted, again I'm going to press F6 for OK, and that will bring me back to my basic settings. Once I press my escape button to get out of this, my butterfly will rotate on screen. And now it's upside down and it's ready to sew on a cap. The next thing I need to do is I need to center my machine to needle number 1. I'm going to press the number 1 button and the head will move. The next thing I need to do is center the hat underneath needle number 1. To start with, this does not have a screw that I can set this up for. So what I need to do is center left to right first. So I'm going to center this. I'll press my all button. Once I press the all button, the laser will come out and it will show on my hat. When you're centering the seam left and right, it's a good idea to move your frame speed down to low. Right now it's on mid, so I'm going to press it and go down to low. This will move the frame at very small increments, and it's much easier for me to line it up with the center. I now move left and right until that laser is directly over the center seam. Once you have the frame centered, the next thing we're going to do is center from front to back. Now, this is a formula that may help for the first few times that you're sewing. The first thing that you do is take the height of your design and divide it by 2. That'll give you the center of the design. The next thing you want to do, you want to be away from this band at least a 1/2 inch. So to that design's midpoint, you're going to add the 1/2 inch. So for example, if my butterfly is 1.4 inches tall, divide it in half and I get 0.7. I then add my 1/2 inch margin to it. That 0.7 plus 0.5 gives me 1.2. That's how far I want to be from the band for the center of my design. Now this works on mostly every single design, and after you've traced it, you're going to look at it and decide whether it looks like it's in the right place or not. So now I'm going to move from top to bottom. I'm putting my ruler on the hat, and I'm going to move it so that needle 1 is going to be even with right about here, because 1.2 is between 1 1/8 and 1 1/4 inches. Now I move back until I fall right within that area, and now I'm lined up. So I'm all set to do my trace now. I'm going to press the all button, and that will turn the laser off, because now I'm ready to do my tracing. F5 is the ready button, and that's where you go to do tracing. So pressing F5. On a hat, it's a good idea to always go down and do an exclude trace. You want to make sure that you stay away from that band, and this is going to give you a direct outline of the entire design. So I'm going down to exclude, and I'll press set. My design comes up. I want to press F2, and once I press F2, the laser comes on and it will trace the outline of the design. Now notice how that laser stayed away from the band on the hat, and I'm pretty sure now at this point that it's going to sew correctly. To get out of the exclude trace, again we press our escape button. That brings me back into the ready button or the ready menu. I'm going to press escape again, and that'll bring us back to our screen. We're now ready to go ahead and sew our hat. Speeds on hats, we're right now at 730. Speeds for hats, usually between 600 and 650 stitches per minute is good, so I'm going to turn my speed down, and I'm going to use the down arrow. As I'm turning it down, I'm going down to 650. It will display on the screen, and when I'm there, I'm all set. I'm ready to sew. I just have to hit start, and off we go. To take your hat off, pick up these red clamps, pull the bottom of the hat out first, then pull the top of the hat out, rotate it, and pull it straight out. Then you're going to take your cap driver off if you're finished. If not, you put your next hat on and you'll just sew it. Again, putting your hands underneath the frame, thumbs on the side, push it up and pull it towards you. Once it clears, just pick it up and just move it right off. The needle plate that you're seeing up on the machine right now has got a little raised portion to it. This is actually for sewing caps. If you want to change out, you certainly can. Your machine also comes with a universal. And the universal is basically the size of a dime, and as you can tell, it lays a little bit flatter. So what we'll do is show you how to take off your needle plate and how to change it out. You get something, it looks like a little screwdriver, and it's an offset screwdriver, and this is made for going on your needle bar or underneath your needles actually, and you're just going to loosen this up by turning it to the right. And again, this is no different than anything else, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so if you're trying to loosen it up, you're going to go over to the left. And once it gets loose enough, you can certainly loosen it up with your fingers. And it just unscrews. You take the screws off. And then you do the other one. You can use the side of this just to push it up just a little bit, and off it comes. And then just put your new one on. You reverse the process. Just put the new one on. It will sit right over this front screw, and then you can tighten down the back of it.